How to get off a medical school waitlist and get into your dream school. Hey, BMO Nation, welcome to another episode of our One Question podcast. My name is Ranza and I'm joined by my lovely colleague, Mang.
Hi, everyone.
We have nothing to sell you. It's just pure strategies and tips so everyone has equal access to education, of course. Now, in case you've never watched or listened to one of these before, they are completely unscripted, so there's no effects of that nature. It's just pure content. And we do have 10 minutes to tackle a new topic each week. And this week's topic is how to get off a medical school waitlist and get into your dream school. All right, the timer is on. I am sure, Mang, most of the viewers and listeners that have tuned in are probably very eager to, get the tips and the strategies on this one because it is common. And I think that there tends to be a stigma and most students tend to feel very defeated. But I want to say that if you're at this stage of the process, already a big congratulations. It is monumental. You've overcome a lot. And, the journey to medical school in itself is quite extensive, but as you know, it's very competitive. There's so many components. So that's the application, if there's any other standardized testing outside of like MCAT that you've done, Casper testing, the interviews, and, a lot of that is hard work and effort that have gone into it. So if you're at this stage, you've done a great job. So don't feel defeated because you're on a wait list. But certainly this isn't the end. There are still things that you can do here. And I think that's a lot of the misconception that students have is kind of like they've washed their hands clean. They say, well, hey, this is what else? I'm just going to pray and hope for the best, which sure, let's be positive, but let's not fold in right away. There are still some things that you can do here. Mang, could you tell our students what are the few things that they could do at this stage to get into their dream school?
Well, I can think of two things and we can kind of tackle them one by one. One of the things is to send an update letter, a couple of weeks or maybe a month after you've been waitlisted. Something else you can do is to send a letter of intent, which is a lot of people get them confused. They're not exactly the same thing. So we can talk about the update letter first. Just like Ronza said, don't stop after, you've gone through this process, because let's say a couple of weeks after your interviews, you finally do that poster presentation at a conference because you've been part of a lab, or maybe you've been working on a publication that finally came out, or maybe you got involved in a volunteer organization and you guys just finished a significant event. Whatever it is, if you continue to have those achievements, then you are able to send an update letter to these schools to let them know that, hey, I'm still interested, and also there has been more to my application than what you saw several months ago, and that will essentially increase your visibility, put you back on the map for them. And when they go through their wait list and they start pulling up applicants from the wait list, that's going to help them to remember who you were as a candidate, and also to remember that, hey, yeah, this person is eager. They do want to come here, right? Because one thing you have to remember is that programs want to select applicants that want to be there. And if you can demonstrate that by saying, I'm still interested and here's an update for my file, then you're going to increase your chances of being moved out of the wait list and into the list of accepted candidates.
And I do want to say, because that's such a great point here that you brought up, Meg, is that we always say show rather than tell. And this is an excellent example of how actions speak louder than words, right? Mm-hmm. Most students at this point would just stay silent, waiting for some sort of communication, but someone that's really eager, really prepared, really motivated is not only continuously developing themselves. This is why they're providing an update, right? They're not halting everything right up until the application and saying, okay, that's it. I'm no longer volunteering. I don't care about research. I've done everything I could to get to this point. I'm submitting. I'm pretty much canceling out of life until I hear back. No, someone that actually lives those experiences and lives those words that they proclaimed in your application is still living by them, right? So providing that update is not only demonstrating that you're someone that's motivated and eager, but it's certainly recertifying that you are someone that is professional, is mature, is developing, it's growing. And I think that speaks volumes on so many different levels and would definitely do wonders. Now, okay, we have about 5 minutes now to talk about the letter of intent. And I know that a lot of students confuse this with personal statement, but also they think, hey, well, I've already said everything. I don't understand what's different about this. What would you say to that, Meg?
There's a very specific purpose for sending in a letter of intent. And this is to state for a single school, not multiple schools, that they are your number one choice, and that if you do receive an acceptance from that school, that you will 100% go to that program. So hopefully you can see the difference here. Update letters can be sent to all the schools that you've applied to and interviewed at, but the letter of intent is for one school, your dream school, the school at the top of your list, to tell them, hey, if you guys accept me, then I will absolutely go here. And you really do need to follow through with that. If they do send you an acceptance, there's it can look extremely bad if you don't follow through with that, right? So that's the purpose of that letter. And it's really to tell that school how invested you are in their program and also why. So the letter should really be quite short. It doesn't need to be a whole long essay. It's not like a personal statement. What you need to do is, number one, explicitly state that they are your number one program. Also explicitly state why they are your number one program. You can talk very briefly about why you're a great candidate for their program. Again, thank them for their time and end off the letter. The whole thing should be less than a page, right? Maybe half a page if you're thinking about how a letter is formatted with the introduction and the conclusion. The letter should maybe be like half a page long. And if you're applying through a system that has a section where you can submit a letter like this online, do that. If not, then you can send this letter over email to the admissions office and address it to the dean of admissions, right? So that's what you can do if you're waitlisted at your dream school and you really want them to know that they are your dream school. Do that, but also be very specific about why. And again, it has the same kind of idea of like putting yourself back on the map, letting them know that you are there as a candidate who is extremely interested in their program, and giving them a certain level of certainty that you will go to their program if you're accepted. That's something else that you can do if you're waitlisted.
Wonderful. And I do want to also take a moment to stress here that this should not be rushed and it should not be done in a very nonchalant manner. So what that means is you do want to revise these documents, ensure that you are, not only stating things accurately, but not, you don't have any sort of grammar or spelling or any typos of that nature. You don't want to introduce more issues, right? That's not the purpose at this stage. You don't want to give them a reason. So it is very delicate at this stage, right? There's a lot of stakes that are riding high here at this point. So you're doing this to really demonstrate your genuine interest, and you're doing this to demonstrate those key skills. Let's make sure that we're still reviewing and submitting something that's grammar, spelling free, to not potentially compromise at this point of the stage.
I do want to say, if we have time,
we do. We have about a minute. So
okay, yeah. There, just before we end off, I do want to say that there are times where you do not want to send such a letter. For example, if the school has explicitly stated that they do not want communication from applicants, don't send that letter, because that will show that you're not paying attention to detail and you're not following instructions. So make sure you actually do your research, do your due diligence, and make sure you know whether or not it's appropriate to send such a letter to the specific program, or even update letters to each of the programs that you want to send that to. You want to make sure that they do accept this type of communication. Also, I think in Canada, it's not as common, and actually schools will not accept this kind of communication either, especially if it's a letter of intent where you're stating what program you would go to is your number one choice. They actually, that's information that for Canadian schools is information they do not want to know, because that interferes with their evaluation process. So yeah, do your research, make sure you know what programs you're able to send them to, what programs you're not able to send them to, and if you can, send them, because they will help your application.
And that's time. And even a great point, follow instructions, everybody. Always ensure to adhere to the program requirements and their guidelines. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Now, if you like this as much as we enjoyed making this for you, then go ahead and share it with a friend, and do subscribe so you do not miss a future episode. And of course, if you have any questions, then please enter those in the comments section. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.